I would like to thank Craig J for sending me this story right here, and it's coming out of Florida. And this right here is going to go right into the pile of us versus them yet again, especially when it comes to the whole stand your ground situation. So in this picture, you see two men. On the left, you have someone by the name of Dominic Broadus II, and on the right, you have someone by the name of Gardner Fraser. Back in 2018, Gardner Fraser killed Dominic Fraser and then claimed stand your ground. Not only did he claim stand your ground, but he also destroyed evidence. And I'm also finding out that he is he's a son of a former deputy in Baker County, Florida. And he did all of that, and guess how much time he got? 1 year in jail. Like I said, that stand your ground thing is not a universal law. And by universal, I mean it doesn't work for black people. Every time black people try to use that stand your ground, there's always some kind of loophole in there somewhere that they drilling at the moment to give black people more time. Or more so work against them rather than for. But when it comes to palm colored or those who are palm colored adjacent, then that's when they decide, oh, we're going to, use it to the fullest extent. And then we're going to find a way to get them a little time, or at best, no time. Let's get into it. The son of a retired Baker County Sheriff's Office deputy. Key words there. Look at who he's connected to. I believe that also played a part into why he only got a year. If it was up to them, he would get no time. Will spend 1 year in jail and 4 years on probation after pleading guilty to tampering with evidence in connection to the deadly shooting of a Jacksonville man. On February 3rd, 2018, 33-year-old Dominic DJ Broadus II was found shot and killed in McLeany, near a home on Southern States Nursery Road. FDLA took over the police investigation the same day due to the suspected involvement of Gardner Fraser, who was not only related to a retired deputy, but was previously contract employee for the Baker County Jail, according to an order filed by then Governor Rick Scott. First Coast News first began investigating the details of Broadus' case after the mysterious death yielded few details for the family and no arrests. A heavily redacted police report in the case provided no case of death or suspect information, but described the deputy's son as being escorted from the scene by police. Broadus' death sparked community rallies demanding accountability. In March and April of 2018, his father, Dominic Broadus Sr., told First Coast News in 2019 the silence from the investigators was frustrating for their family. This thing is playing itself out just like Trayvon Martin. The only difference is this guy was technically, an adult. I don't even know exactly how my son died. That's a shame, Broadus Sr. said in 2018. They said they didn't find any weapons on my son. We asked agents that question. Scott's office reassigned the case away from State Attorney William Servone's office, which typically handles Baker County cases, in order for Servone to avoid a conflict of interest or any appearance of impropriety. Fraser entered a plea of no contest to 1 count of tampering with evidence, a third-degree felony. He was sentenced to 1 year in county jail and 4 years of probation with a mental evaluation when he is released from jail. So, are they trying to tell us that they don't know who killed him? Even though this guy right here makes himself look guilty by tampering with the evidence. Which means if he didn't kill this person, he definitely knows who did. Because right now, it doesn't even have anybody listed down as with a murder charge. But the fact that he tampered with evidence means he is involved. But he only got 1 year. 1 freaking year in jail. But I'm going to go ahead and read this other article, because like I said, there's always going to be more information elsewhere. It says Gardner Kent Fraser killed Dominic DJ Broadus II, but no one knows why. Fraser doesn't deny it, nor does the state attorney for Florida's 8th Judicial Circuit. After shooting Broadus in the face, investigators say Fraser, who was white, waited 21 minutes to dial 911. That's why it's always good to read from other sources, because sometimes some places don't have all of the information. So it sounds to me like he did kill him. Asked by emergency operators if he knew Broadus, Fraser said, I believe I do. When Baker County Sheriff's deputies arrived on the scene at Southern State Nurseries in McClenny, Florida, they noted that the 31-year-old DJ Broadus' body appeared to have been moved or rolled over. Broadus was holding a cell phone when he was shot, but it was nowhere to be found when the authorities arrived at the scene. Although authorities never found Broadus' phone, a Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigation would later uncover 115 phone calls and 35 text messages between the two men, including explicit and sexual images. Authorities alleged that Fraser deleted some of the images, reportedly to hide his relationship with Broadus. Oh. Wait a minute. Plot twist. I did not see that coming. On Monday, Fraser appeared before Florida Circuit Court Judge James Colaw via video conference because of WOVIT to answer for his crimes. This defendant took the actions to get rid of that phone, said State Attorney Mark Khalil told Colaw. To this day, only one person knows where DJ Broadus' phone is, and that's Gardner Fraser. The state alleged that Fraser destroyed the phone because he didn't want anyone to find out about the sexual relationship between the two. Meanwhile, Fraser pleaded no contest and begged the court for leniency. Standing before the parents of a dead child, defense attorney James Sawyer literally argued that it was Fraser who had to serve a life sentence because he was quote-unquote traumatized. So basically, this guy was having a whole DL relationship with this man, and he didn't want it to get out. That's what it's playing up like to me. There was a struggle, and it appears was a complete surprise that Mr. Broadus was there, Sawyer said. Judge Colaw, however, saw the case differently, citing the pain in the victim's family and what he called a cover-up. Colaw sentenced Fraser to the maximum possible sentence under the law. Gardner Kent Fraser will spend a year in the Baker County Jail. In order for the defendant to hide his feminine bisexual nature, he executed my son and grandson's father. Dominic Broadus Sr., DJ's father, told the court on Monday, in an effort to try and keep his secret, he fatally shot my son in the back of the head twice and tried to destroy any evidence of their relationship by deleting all text from his phone and hiding my son's phone, then calling 3 people before reporting the shooting to the proper authorities. That whole quote right there came from the victim's father. So it sounds like to me the victim's father knew of his son's lifestyle. That's what it's sounding like to me, because he doesn't sound surprised about not so much the relationship between the two men, but just of his son's lifestyle. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like he's caught off guard by learning about his son. It doesn't sound like his son was a person, from my standpoint, like a guy that was on the DL. But apparently this palm-colored man definitely was, just based on what I'm reading in his actions. In the victim's impact statement provided by the Broadus family, the father added, "The execution-style killing of my son shows the pure evilness and depravity of the defendant. To be only charged with tampering with evidence is a travesty of the law. The law has failed this family in charging the defendant in what clearly is murder is heart-wrenching. By destroying my son's phone and deleting evidence is motive for the real crime committed. In the 3 years since executing my son, the defendant has shown no remorse for his actions, has continually lied about his knowledge of my son, and has also lied about in actions in regard of the execution of Dominic. Instead, the defendant has tried to strike a deal for withholding education. The defendant and his lawyer would have fought the charges of tampering with evidence if not for the overwhelming evidence that showed that these two had a previous relationship. Or, as his lawyer Sawyer stated, it doesn't make any difference if a gay black man was in Baker County to meet someone, or for whatever reason he might be in Baker County and a fight began. The law has let this killer walk free for nearly 3 years. This is not justice in the American legal system. The claim that the defendant was in fear of his life isn't displayed in his relentless enticing of my son to his place of residence. In fact, he is the one who aggressively pursued my son for many days in November and December of 2017 to reconnect with him after meeting with him 4 months earlier." As True Royal Family says, The plot thickens. As a matter of fact, the plot is thickening. It's continuing to thicken. It's already gotten past that point. The first being out of the defendant's mouth when law enforcement arrived. Was this a practical joke from 2 weeks ago gone bad? This was overheard by several officers arriving at the scene. A practical joke where you execute someone by shooting them in the head 4 times is not a practical joke. So that was definitely execution style. Adjudication and sentencing, the defendant cannot assuage the grief to a father, mother, son, sister, brother, and other family members, especially where Dominic's life was taken so violently. The court, however, can demonstrate that his actions are so egregious and deserve the maximum penalty prescribed by law. This is the family's wish in regards to this case of tampering with evidence. This guy, listen to all this, this guy literally only got tampering with evidence as a charge. Not murder, just tampering with evidence. When Judge Kolaw handed down the sentence, Fraser clasped his head in his hands, obviously distraught by the fact that he would have to spend 1 year in prison. Under Florida stand your, I don't know why he only got a year. Under Florida stand your ground law, not only does a person accused of killing someone has no duty to retreat, defendants are not even required to prove that they acted in self-defense. Because of a 2017 ruling, Florida prosecutors must now prove that the defendant was not acting in fear for his or her life. Basically, they have to actually prove that they were in fear of their life, not pretend. At least that they said, so they say. And the accused killer doesn't have to convince a jury. As Slate reports, the law allows a single judge to grant a defendant unilateral immunity, thus preventing a jury from ever hearing the case or assessing the evidence. When Fraser claimed he shot Broadus in the face multiple times during a fight, he didn't have to prove Broadus attacked him. In fact, the burden of proof fell on the state to prove that an attack didn't occur. Florida state attorney could only charge Fraser with tampering with the evidence, a third-degree felony, with a maximum possible sentence of 1 year. Lucky for Fraser, in Florida, sentences of less than 1 year are served in a county facility. So he's not even really going to a big maximum security prison. Still, he's going to jail, right? They wrote that in sarcasm, by the way. Well, about that FDLE investigation, the investigation was turned over to the FDLE after local authorities realized there might be a conflict of interest in the case. The deputy who first arrived on the scene knew Fraser's father, Ryan T. Fraser, raising the possibility of a conflict of interest. In 2009, Ryan Fraser was fired from the nearby Jacksonville Sheriff's Department in 2009 for shooting Jerick Hall, an unarmed black man. At the time, Jacksonville Sheriff said that Ryan Fraser was terminated because Hall did not pose a threat to Fraser when the deputy shot the 20-year-old in 2008. Aside from owning the Southern States Nursery, the Gardner family has numerous family members in the area's law enforcement community. So when Ryan lost his job in Jacksonville, he was somehow able to get another job in law enforcement. Basically, he was transferred. You know how we always say they're never fired? They're just transferred. Fraser eventually retired from the Baker County Sheriff's Office in 2017, and there's no proof that Ryan helped his son tamper with evidence, but according to the FDLE, in the 21 minutes between shooting Broadus and calling 911, Fraser placed the call to his father. When deputies arrived on the scene, one additional person was present, but their name was mysteriously scrubbed from the police report. Baker is one of those counties where you know it is a good old boy system back up in there. Jacksonville's Reverend R.L. Gundy told the source during a 2019 town hall. In Baker County, it's going to be deeper because you got an entrenched law enforcement component down there in Baker County that is going to cover for one another. The town is also known for its courthouse, which has a controversial mural depicting the history of Baker County, including the terrorist history of the Klan. According to historians, Florida had the second largest Klan organization in the country in the 1950s, just a few years ago. Well, seeing how Florida operate, that doesn't surprise me. In those days, the reputed Grand Wizard of the Klan was a man from McClenny in Baker County who denied being a Klan leader but assured everyone that he could speak for the man who was a Grand Wizard. He proudly stated that the Klan stood for white supremacy, segregation, and upholding the law, explaining there's plenty of ways to do things within the law, and sometimes we have to straighten up the officials. Of course, this has nothing to do with the death of DJ Broadus, nor should it implicate Gardner Fraser or anyone in the Fraser family, except for one interesting detail. That supposed Grand Wizard was named J.E. Fraser. J.E. Fraser lived just outside Baker County, but he wasn't just a Klan spokesperson. In fact, Fraser was a landowner and moderately successful businessman. Fraser incorporated his business in 1951 and passed it down to his family. He owned Southern State Nurseries in McClenny, Florida. I don't know how this guy gets away with not being charged with murder, said the elder Broadus after the trial. I'm not happy with everything the state's attorney office has done. I'm not happy with the laws of the state of Florida. Like I said, the evidence is there, which clearly shows this was murder, and you can probably even call it premeditated. Before Monday's hearing, the Broadus family rejected a plea deal that would have seen Fraser not guilty of a crime. Broadus Sr. said he understood that the judge could only decide the case before him and was happy to see Fraser was given maximum sentence possible. Broadus is urging the state attorneys to continue investigating the case, hoping they will uncover new evidence that allows them to charge Fraser with more serious crimes. The teary-eyed father said he hopes his son is remembered as a loving father and son. When asked if he thinks his son would ever receive justice, he could only respond, "We pray, we pray." So it just basically sounds like, and it's still a little bit more than I'm going to read, it sounds like his son was living a double life based on what I'm reading, because they said that he had, children. They said he was a loving father and son. So it sounded like, I said, to me, he was living a double life, maybe, I guess. And like I said, this palm-colored terrorist right here that you see on your screen didn't want that relationship to get out. And then based on what his father was saying in the previous statement, it sounds like to me like he was almost stalking him. Not his son, but the white guy was stalking him. Before leaving, Broadus said he could not publicly say how he feels about how law enforcement officers handled the case. There's a t-shirt somebody gave me, but I don't want to repeat it. It said, "F the Baker County Sheriff's Office says someone standing nearby. Is that what the white t-shirt said?" That's what the t-shirt said Broadus, barely able to muster a smile. Okay, that was a very, very, very loaded story. And I'm glad that I was able to find more additional information concerning this, because I could have stopped after that first article, but now we got a little bit more deeper into this whole thing. So we basically learned that this Fraser character had a DL relationship with the victim, and it's not something that just started. It said basically it started back in like 2017, which was like roughly about a year, depending on when it started. The year before he was murdered, and apparently that he was going to confront him or something like that. They said they found a bunch of text messages, and images in the phone, and all types of different things like that. When it got to that point about when it said messages with pictures with like sexual explicit images and stuff like that, that's when it clicked right there for me before I even read the next few words what was actually going on. So like I said, it sounds like to me like this Fraser character was trying to keep his double life a secret, and he didn't want to get out. He was probably in fear that Dominic Broadus was going to do that, and then that's when he killed him. They said he shot him 4 times in the head, in the face. So he wanted to make sure he was dead. But that's crazy. I'm gonna be honest, I was not expecting that. That's a plot twist for you. I did not see that coming. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you haven't done so already, text the number pinned in the comments below so you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video. And I'll talk to you in the next one.